Hey, YouTube comic community. What's up? Welcome back. This is White Whale Comics with John's Comics with Kids. And we are back again for New Comic Book Day Book Club. A week late, but better than 6 weeks late like we were last time.
Right? Took a month off and just crammed a month's worth of comics together.
Beggars can't be choosers.
It's true.
And besides, this is free entertainment, so
that's what we'll call it.
Yeah,
that's what we'll call it.
You missed me doing the.
I saw the air quotes. I realized I needed to share the stream on my community tab.
No,
so I wanted
okay.
to make a post.
People who want to watch will find it.
Who knows? There we go. At least I did. At least I shared it.
Professional as always.
I did it live, and that's the first minute of the show was me looking at my phone and sharing it.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. Are we allowed to curse on YouTube anymore? I don't even know. They keep changing the community guidelines.
Oh, did they update it for cursing?
I don't know. I've heard some other channels, not comic channels, but other channels say that they get demonetized and stuff. Not that I'm making any money off this channel, but
right. I think I would need viewers first, and then from there, angry ones.
Well, once you get to Perry numbers, that's you have to start worrying.
That's right.
Shout out to Perry getting that plaque.
He did. Yeah. I crossed 2,500. I didn't get shit.
No. You got, I think 100K is the minimum.
Yeah.
But yeah, big accomplishment for him. But we're not here to talk about Perry.
Usually.
I mean, he always tends to worm his way in somehow. That's why he's got 100,000 subscribers or whatever he got. We're here to talk about some comics that came out last month, March of 2024. If you can believe that it's already April 2024.
It's crazy.
Wild times. Time is speeding up, and I don't like it. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I told you that it's been a roller coaster of comic book reading for me lately, with like high highs and low lows, and we're just kind of like riding through.
Hey, I've got a question for you before we start. Totally off topic from comics, but something I was thinking about this morning, and I don't know why.
Okay.
Santa's reindeer.
Starting off really great.
What's the deal with Donner? Because all of the other reindeer have like names that are things or already words. And I know that originally it was Donder, but even that doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I don't know. It's just that one poem that named them all, right?
Yeah. Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, all things, words, Comet, Cupid, Donner, and Blitzen.
I don't know.
Get your act together, Donner. Hey, Tina.
I'd be more upset with Donner's parents, right, that are making the call.
It's a fictional thing. The parents are the author. Hi, Tina. Nice to see you in the chat. And Captain Comics, what's up? Mates and mermaids. So why don't we get started now that we're got our Christmas talk out of the way?
Let's do it. New comics.
I know there's two books that we're kind of focusing on this week. Is there one you want to start with first?
Yes, the one I've been crapping on the most, and I've been overly hard on this book, but I just really didn't like it.
Okay, so I'll let you jump into it then. If you're awfully excited.
I'm going to lead this off by saying I like Rick Remender a bunch. I like his writing a bunch.
I think we've been on record saying that.
And he had the best book of 2 years ago for both of us with the Righteous Thirst. I think Napalm Lullaby is the worst book I've read from him. And I strongly dislike Scumbag issue 1 and never read the rest of that. So I'm going to do my best, now that I've read it twice, to explain Napalm Lullaby issue 1. What's up, Gore? It starts off with a sort of bizarre twist on the Superman origin, where you've got this older couple, middle-aged couple, and they are seemingly, sorry, my allergies are driving me crazy these days. They are seemingly out in the community in rural US, seemingly championing their Lord and Savior, and they're attempting to convert their community to their way of believing. And
they're like protesting or proselytizing or something. They've got a bunch of picket signs, but you don't really see what's on them.
Exactly. And then they're driving home afterwards, basking in the glow of their Lord. And the wife says something about, oh, he came to me in my vision last night, told us we're not doing enough. We need to do more. We need to. And then all of a sudden, this flash of light occurs and they screech to a halt. And we jump to this, what looks like a portal opening up, bright light, something that's like a machine, looks like a mech suit, a very large one, comes running out of this thing, chased by two other similar kind of suits. And the two similar suits are talking and the other one isn't. The first suit that's being chased is not really saying anything. Guns, lasers, some, blasting. The two hunters knock down the chased or the victim, and they rush up to it and they're talking about, oh, this is the last one of these creatures we got to kill. And I can't remember what they call it.
It's like a mecho. Hold on, I got it right here.
Sorry, my allergies. It's like everything is blooming in California right now. It's just killing me.
Mecho wombs.
There you go. And when they get up to it, they crack open the suit and there's a baby crying inside. And you're just like, what? And then they start arguing over who's going to kill it. And while they're arguing, the baby seems to explode. Like it lights up, bright lights come out of it, and it just sort of like this big blast of energy and kills the two guys before they can execute it. Then our Martha Kent and John Kent lookalikes walk over and see this wreckage, and they see the baby, and they're like, this was meant to be. And they pick up the baby and they walk back to their car and they drive away. And we see all the bumper stickers are not, praise Jesus or whatever. It's Glorko or Glorok, the Y's, and it's like praise Glorok, praise Glorok, whatever. It's this obscure, bizarre
Glowcore.
There you go, Glowcore. And they drive away talking about, oh, this is going to be a great baby. Then we have a splash page that says 50 years later.
Now, real quickly, before we get into that.
Yeah, sure, go ahead. This is just the prelude, the first 8 pages or 5 pages.
Besides the introduction of, well, I'll let you go to it. There's multiple shots of them in the car with a cross hanging from their rearview mirror. So,
right.
Is this just an alternate universe where Glowcore is Jesus, or
who knows? I'm really going to be unable to answer most questions about this book because it's written like that.
Yeah. I think very intentionally, but.
So we jump 50 years later to this bizarre future world now. And we're in what seems to be something of a church temple place. And there's this bald-headed, I want to say Frank Miller mutant kind of looking guy. Looks like he's straight out of Dark Knight Returns. And he's killing what looks like a priest on the altar in an empty temple.
He's choking him to death.
Yeah. And there's blood everywhere. And he's collecting like these halo things that these guys are wearing. He throws them in his bag, and the walls even say like Glowcore. Like there's something like this is a Glowcore church.
Yeah.
I felt like, oh, this is our guy. This is now 50 years later. This is what he looks like. And we see him roll out of this place, and he's marching down the street, and he's like, I'm going to go. He's saying all sorts of atrocious things. Like, I need to get my rocks off. I need to get some money out of this. I make fun of myself too, Bub. And he's clearly just foul, this guy. And it's like, oh, clearly he didn't follow the light of Glowcore or whatever. And I'm just like trying to keep up with these two very different beginnings to these two different stories. He ends up at this place where he's clearly cashing in those halos. He drops them there, And it seems like the doors open and it's this instead of this rundown Blade Runner-y future, now it's this like beautiful looking, lush Grecian kind of palace place, and this gorgeous woman's in there, and she's waiting to receive the goods, and the trade-off apparently is she's going to bang him.
Right. She specifically tasked him with getting these. It's not that he's like, these are worth something. No. Can I trade these? She's like,
right.
Sent him on a mission for these.
So they start fooling around. Then all of a sudden, noises are happening, and
she's got, when she takes off her clothes, she has angel wings.
She's got little angel wings. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Then we realize, no, this is a hologram. We jump back to the Blade Runner world. He's sitting in one corner of the room, and the woman is sitting there, and they're both wearing like helmets with like VR.
Well, so here's I know you want to talk about how confusing this book is. This was the first thing to me that was confusing.
Really? All right.
Because let me double check to make sure that I'm not just missing something. Yeah, he is not wearing a helmet.
Is he not? I don't know. Maybe her device is linked to him somehow.
Yeah, like
he's got the helmet and the wires and the whole thing.
Well, the whole reason, like they hear banging sounds, which I assume are supposed to be gunshots, but yeah, I assume he is aware that it's not real.
Yes, yeah, the VR sexcapades are part of what he paid. Yeah,
antenna looking glasses things. But yeah, he's not.
So then her partner, the VR girl's partner buddy, comes bursting in. He's got some kind of a Big Hero 6 looking mask on, and he's saying things that like make it seem like he's also connected to their little VR escapade, and he's well aware of all of it. He can't handle it anymore, and he wants to just kill this guy and take the goods. And so he does. He caps this guy. He kills him. The guy that I thought was our main character is now not, and he seems to be dead. And in the midst of all this, when he does that, it messes up her VR because she's connected into him, and so she kind of collapses. It's really bizarre. They don't quite explain why the both of them are having these glitches and why he made the choice to kill the guy without letting her disconnect or whatever.
Well, okay, so I'm going to jump in here again for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like you said. This is there's a lot I'm unsure about, and I think that's one of your big criticisms about this.
Well, it's that not only that I'm unsure, it's like it jumps around and it feels like it's changing its mind every 4 or 5 pages what this story is, and as a result, I don't care about any of this. I am not invested in any of this. It's all kind of just happening, and I'm just like, okay, now I'm following these guys, and they're doing stupid crap, and now I'm following that guy, and it's like the worst elements of bad Tarantino ripoffs, like where it's just like I got 800 great actors and characters, and I'm just going to jump around between all of them, and you don't know what the point of any of this is, and that guy might die all of a sudden, and this guy might die, and it's like I don't like what am I even watching?
Great dialogue.
Yeah, it's like it looks kind of cool, I guess, but I don't know what's going on.
So the mutant guy tries to stab Big Hero 6.
Yeah.
He dodges him, and then he goes after the woman. Big Hero 6 then shoots some sort of
injection.
It's like a big hook thing on I don't know. But it goes through the guy's head, and Big Hero 6 says, God damn it, was aiming for his arm.
Yeah.
At which point he starts losing his mind. He says he won't die. Well, why won't he die?
Yeah.
So he doesn't seem to actually have wanted to kill him.
Right.
And for some reason, so then she has to use some sort of EpiPen on him to sedate him enough that that his brain won't explode or whatever. But yeah, it's a strange.
Well, it gets stranger for me because then the people running this digital brothel come bursting in, meaning the like main scrawny, weird looking pimp guy and his bodyguards bust in. So now we got more people and other problems, and we keep skipping to other things. They appear to kill our two, our characters are
after a chase scene.
After a chase, they seem to kill Big Hero 6 and
and
the girl.
Right. He stomps on Big Hero 6's head quite graphically.
Yeah.
And breaks
yes,
Bane-esque.
Over the very Bane-esque, yeah.
Breaks her back.
And are sort of happy that they got to keep the goods and the characters are dead. And then we realize that she has spun some VR magic Mysterio-esque on the scene so that they could escape while the pimp and his team were distracted by this whole universe.
Mm-hmm.
And we see our heroes now on some kind of a motorbike zipping away from the scene of the crime. And we get the shot of the big city and they're talking about how do you kill God?
Yeah.
And that's how it ends. And I'm like, I'm left feeling like I don't understand this universe in any basic kind of way. I don't understand any of these characters or could really not even name a single one of them. I don't know anything really about any of these characters because I didn't spend enough time to connect. Even like you look at like Righteous Thirst and how quickly we connected in to the lead character in that. Just a couple of pages of silence. And we're like, wow, I'm in this guy's universe and I get it. And we had so many pages of all these characters and I was left feeling so devoid of interest, investment, or anything here.
Yeah. So I think one thing that it really suffered from was that intro. Because it sets you up for thinking this is going to be one thing. And I'm sure it's going to pay off at some point. But the rest of the issue, you're waiting for it to connect to this beginning, and it never really does.
Yeah, useless
and
almost.
It is a bit of a challenge because our two seemingly main characters that come in halfway through the book, both of their faces are either partially or completely obscured. So there's not really a lot of emotion that you get out of their expressions.
Right.
You could only body language, which, obviously in a comic is up to the artist's ability, also expression, but it's a little bit easier.
My biggest issue though was that like they have basically the same gag play out 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your main characters. No. Here's your main characters. No. Here's your main. No. Here's your no. And every time it's like, nope, they're dead. No, they're dead. No, they're dead. No, wait, no, they're probably not alive. Not 50 years later. Nope, are they dead? We made you think they were dead. And they do this gag.
They're on the cover of the book, so they're not dead.
In one freaking issue, they pull this gag 3 times, 4 times. It's like, do you need this gag, this plot device that many times? Because it left me every time, even when they did it to the 2 characters on the cover, I was like, I'm done with this stupid book. This is just stupid now. Like, what are we doing? It's called Napalm Lullaby by Rick Remender. It's an Image title.
Hey, what's up, Old Wolf? So I feel like I did not hate this as much as you did. I certainly didn't put it up there with the Remender books that I really have high praise for. I feel like the world that he is trying to build in this is an interesting one, but it doesn't get there in this issue. So it might be something. And he even says something in the letter that he put in the back of the book. I don't know if you read it. Probably not, since you were.
I may have, but I was not in any mood to
absorb. He says something about it being how he wants it to be a bit of a slow burn. As far as I don't know what, because a lot happens, but a slow burn as far as like the actual plot, I don't know. But
maybe
it could be something that turns into something really good. But I would agree, this is not a first issue that really makes me want to continue the journey in any sort of meaningful way, other than like, oh, this is an interesting world he's building, but it's not even like a world that is especially original, like you said, kind of Blade Runner-esque, kind of like.
And for me, like, I felt like there were no moments of like real originality. Everything felt derivative of something else. and there was nothing to latch on to for me on any of those kind of, like you said, it's an interesting world, and I guess I could say yes to that, but there was nothing like unique about it. There was nothing that made me go, oh. It all just felt like knockoffs of 100 other things, and didn't in any way make me go like, oh man, it's like, oh, Little Bird, I wanted to sit down in that universe and experience it,
Right.
Layla Starr, whatever. I had nothing at the end of this. I didn't feel any connection to this world or these people, like where I was like, oh, I just want to see more of this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Little Bird is a triumph in world building as far as I'm concerned. But it's very much about the world building more than the story in a lot of ways. But you still get that connection of a character who you're like, I'm rooting for this character to succeed. I'm rooting
Right.
for, it's very easy to see who the good guys and the bad guys are. And I think that's important, where if you're going to focus on a world, and like obviously you can do both, but if you're going to focus on a world and make the story kind of in service to that,
Yeah.
you need to have a little bit more of a simple sides, I guess, like, it can't be like, oh, who are these guys, who are these people? Like, you need to set up the characters as concrete, because it's not about the characters, it's about the world. Where this is like, I don't really know what's happening with the world, and I don't really know what's happening with the characters, so it didn't especially succeed on either level.
And some of the burns I sent to you were like, this is a book that made me like Scumbag more, because it's like, and I hated Scumbag. Yeah. I was like, because at least Scumbag had a point, like it had a thesis, and I didn't really like it. I didn't want to spend more time with the Scumbag, but at least it was like I got what he was trying to do, even in one issue. I was like, I get this. What he's doing with this character that's so odious and so awful to be around is like, that's the point, like to like sit in that guy's world for a little bit.
Scumbag.
Yeah,
he's not making excuses for who this character is. He is aware that he's a scumbag.
And I could see what he was trying to do. I just knew that it wasn't for me, right? I can't even see what he's trying to do here, because if it's about an amazing, interesting universe, he hasn't crafted it yet. And if it's about interesting characters and their problems, he hasn't crafted that yet either. It's like, I don't know what it is. And I said something like, if he's able to turn this into something that's really cohesive and strong, it'll be his best writing achievement. Yeah. Like, he's really done it, because it's like, I don't get it after this right here. So anyways, it just didn't work for me. Sorry.
If I didn't know this was Remender, I would have excused it as one of those things where I think it's really easy for a lesser writer to fall into the trap of them having this world in their own head and writing stuff on the page that to them makes perfect sense because they know the bigger picture,
right?
Without being aware of how someone reading it with zero knowledge coming into it reads it.
Does it translate to the reader or the artist the way that it did in their head, right?
Right. Because Remender wrote this, I have to believe a lot of these choices were intentional, which is
troublesome,
kind of more upsetting.
It's troubling for sure. Yeah, I mean, I would never have read anything beyond a couple of pages of this if it wasn't him. The only reason I finished it, and the only reason I read it the second time, was because it was him. And I will say, I understood it a little bit more the second time, but I didn't appreciate it anymore the second time. I probably appreciated it less.
I mean, like, I understood, like, I wasn't ever lost as far as what was happening on the page. I just was lost as to why it was happening.
That's a good point. And I think that's probably true more of me as well than anything. But there also were bits where I was like, I don't understand it. Like, I don't get it. But I mean, maybe it was more of the purpose than the literal, right? So yeah, I didn't like this book. I'm not going to read. There's already a second issue. I'm not going to read until I read from other people in this community that the final issue is out and it's stellar.
Yeah.
And I've heard nothing good about this book so far beyond.
I
just
literally
because
haven't
of
heard
the-
anything except
Yeah.
what we've talked about, because like I just don't hear people talking about this book very much.
So I'm probably not going to read any more of this.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess.
I don't even think we need to bother giving it a rating, because it's just piling on at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Don't buy it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, if it comes out in trade and I hear some really good reviews of it, I might get it from the library or something, but I'm not going to invest in this book.
Yeah, you're not getting any money out of me.
All right. Well, this goes in that pile over here.
Is that a David Bowie shirt? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Bowie in space.
Speaking of,
Mm.
I don't know how much you TikTok and what your algorithm is bringing you lately, but JoJo Siwa is getting really dragged because of her new. She's releasing a new single, and she's come up with this like new persona, and it's like very cringe and like seems very affected, and it's just really uncomfortable, and everyone's just like piling on. And there's this one clip of her that everyone's really giving her a hard time about. She's like, I told my producer, it's my JoJo impression, I told my producer that I wanted to create a new genre of music called gay pop. And then everyone's like, oh, wait till she hears about David Bowie.
There it is. Yeah. I love it. Or Freddie Mercury.
Yeah. Or
any number of millions of artists.
Basically anyone in the 80s. Wham.
Yes, there you go. Wake me up.
All right. Well, anyway, that brief interlude will bring us to our next book that we are discussing, I believe, if you read it.
I read it twice, I believe.
New book from Tom King and
Bilquis
Evely.
Yes.
Helen of Windhorn. I don't know if you can see the title because it's shiny, but
it is. What's that, Harry? We were talking about you at the beginning of the show, buddy.
Yeah, we did.
Congrats.
Always nice for you to stop by, Mr. Big Shot.
100K all the way.
So this book, I'll try to kind of summarize it, starts off with this guy who's talking to an older woman. He's recording the conversation, so he's either a reporter or he's writing a book, or I'm not exactly sure what his purpose is, but he's talking to her about this writer.
C.K. Cole or something?
C.K. Cole, yes. Yeah. Who looks like wrote kind of pulp comic stuff, or
Conan-esque, John Carter of Mars kind of stuff.
She kind of like references that she's never read any of it because she thinks it's beneath her, basically. But he's interviewing her because she was tasked or hired with retrieving C.K. Cole's daughter after he passed away and bringing her back to her grandfather.
Yeah.
She
was a governess for a time. She's a
governess, yes, because the daughter is 16.
Yeah.
And a chain smoker and an alcoholic. And she's in this little town, dirt town outside of San Antonio. And the governess brings her back to this just literal castle, which her grandfather owns.
Yeah. This, by the way, Bilquis Evely is stupid talented.
Yeah, the art in this is...
I can't say enough nice things. I loved, obviously, the Superwoman of Tomorrow, the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Beautiful, well done. So this, if nothing else, if you pick this book, you will get
like every panel
beautiful, beautiful artwork. And this is a Dark Horse book, right?
Dark Horse book, yep. And issue 2 came out today, I believe, or next week. Next week. So it's mostly just like she's getting shown around the house, and she busts open this like really expensive wine and drinks it, and the butler is all, being a butler, all stuck up, and the daughter is very like, rebellious and what seems like very grown up, for her age and everything. But the first night they're there, she sneaks into the governess's room and says, like, I saw a monster outside my window. Can I sleep with you? And she's like, oh, we've all had nightmares. It's fine. And then she goes right back the next day to being a total brat. But then the next night, or at some point, the governess hears her screaming, and she goes outside, and there's actually a literal monster who is then slain by her returning grandfather, who looks like, Sean Connery.
Yeah, the Highlander.
Conan Highlander.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back to the present day where this guy's interviewing her, and he's like, oh, you mean like, a metaphorical monster, right? She's like, no, there was a literal monster. He beheaded him, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not a lot happens. But it takes a long time to get there. And it's not unenjoyable. Like I had a good, no, hold on, wait.
I'm with you already. I'm just saying.
I enjoyed reading this book, but it's told very bizarrely because half the book is a tour of the mansion, which again was not,
or her trying to get the drunken girl onto the train.
Right.
Like that takes like 5 pages of like,
right.
Really?
Because he hauls her back to the bar to get some drinks, and she's putzing around.
She goes to the graveyard to see Dad's grave.
To make which is also like a very strange plot point where she hires him to engrave the angel statue for his grave, and has it say his name, and then better than Shakespeare or something like that. I forget the exact wording, but basically that's the sentiment.
Yeah.
And when it cuts back next time right after that to the present day with the writer talking to this old lady who's the governess, he says, oh, I've been there. There is an angel statue there. And like people have argued about what that thing means, that phrase means. It's like, am I missing something? Because that seems pretty straightforward, saying he's a better writer than Shakespeare, right? I mean, but apparently there is something deeper, because for this writer who is just, died young and wrote seemingly just some like kind of Conan-y type sci-fi pulp stuff, the modern day writer references the fact that like scholars have talked about him, and so he seems like this very larger than life character who people have taken very seriously, and there's some mystery surrounding him, and probably because there were monsters involved that no one knew about for some reason.
Maybe.
And it's also kind of a funny little reveal at the end, because the whole time in the past, this governess keeps berating the young girl for smoking cigarettes and how it's unbecoming and the work of the devil. And at the end of the book, she's lighting up a cigarette, smoking away, because she probably saw some shit and was like, well, might as well have some fun. But she still acts like very prim and proper, so it was interesting. Yeah. My biggest issue with this book, and it would be unfair of me to not bring it up since I have absolutely crapped on a certain book in the past for doing this, is that it does the thing that really bothers me in comics, which is...
There's only one?
Well, top 5 thing. It has narration that is narrating exactly what you see depicted in the panel, which is, to me, a complete waste of time in comics, because you have, and I've said this before, you have the advantage of a visual medium. I don't need to be told what I'm seeing. And a book that I'm going to mention later that I just finished reading has narration in it as well, and does the exact opposite, where it is narrating one thing and showing you another.
Sure.
And I'm not saying you have to go so far in that direction where it's like practically unrelated to what you're seeing, but you can give some insight into what's happening more than just saying, oh, then she broke open this wine bottle and drank from it, and you see her breaking open a wine bottle and drinking from it. Like, you can literally take out the narration and understand the exact same thing because you are shown it in drawing.
Right.
So I just had to get that out there.
No, as you should.
It didn't like really ruin my enjoyment of it because it was well written. I mean, it's Tom King, so obviously we're both fans of his for the most part. You shrug.
That was the cats coming through.
Oh.
No, I'm definitely a fan of Tom King, and that's the fact that it was this creative team is the reason I was excited to pick it up for sure.
So yeah, I mean, it was just a bummer that like someone so experienced as him and someone so talented as the artist would kind of like miss that. And it's not like a couple panels that do it. It's like the whole middle section of the book.
It's almost like a stylistic choice.
Yeah. So
like a throwback to old comics, where they would do that Silver Age, Golden Age kind of stuff.
But I mean, that's one of the many reasons why I say Silver Age sucks, because they didn't understand the medium yet in the way that modern comics do.
Sure.
Or can.
If they wish.
Yeah. So.
I mean, I didn't love this book, and much like Napalm Lullaby, it was talented people writing a mediocre story.
Underperforming.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it more than Napalm Lullaby.
Extremely, yes. And I would give this a passing grade, but not a grade that would make me want to buy more issues, but instead maybe trade weight or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest
Bilquis Evely's art is what keeps me invested.
Right.
From
That's why
start to finish.
It regardless of my criticisms of how the storytelling technique that they used, my bigger problem is that it just wasn't an interesting enough story. Like, it was told well, it was written well, but old man monster hunter, rich guy.
Yeah, there's a fun Narnia kind of concept here that I think is interesting. I just think there's some very flat characters that don't have. I mean, they seem like caricatures,
right?
And not, the butler is the typical butler. The drunken spoiled girl who's sad her dad died is pretty much like, she has no other note. She plays the one note all the way through. The governess is the stern governess all the way through. At no point do they even give us a facet of another layer to these characters. And then you've got, like you said, these jumps in time that for me just feel useless. Like, I just don't know. It may end up being vital later on where we discover, no, the woman is not the governess. It's Helen. And she's some stupid trope that we don't need. But for a single issue, it just felt like unnecessary. And it just slowed the story down to highlight two other really flat characters without any real depth to them.
Coming from someone who has written a comic book with first-person narration, I will say I did appreciate the fact that there was a purpose for why it was narrated, because she was telling the story to the reporter.
Sure.
And obviously, I don't think you need that in a first-person narrated comic, but it does add kind of an interesting wrinkle where you can cut back, and those were kind of the scenes I found the most interesting, where it cut back to the present
to sort of
to see the kind of reaction or the conversation about the discussion, about the narration from these two characters.
right.
It
Did at this point just seemed very unnecessary, superfluous.
If it were just straight up narrated without those things, I think I actually probably would have liked it less, even though they didn't necessarily make sense yet. Because again, you don't know who this reporter is or why he's doing this or anything like that. You're kind of just like thrown into a middle of a conversation with them. But I felt like it was an interesting enough wrinkle that made me like it more than I disliked it.
Sure. But that was my main complaint, is just characters that didn't have a lot of depth, or at least didn't have facets beyond the one note they played really loud all the way through. You know, I was waiting for a moment when the drunk daughter would give me some other layer to her. I didn't need much. You could have done it in a couple of panels, but something to give me another facet to her character so that I felt like I understood her wants, her interests, her challenges, her flaws, something. I mean, all we get is just she's a drunken, spoiled brat, and that's it. Like there's nothing else.
Right, but clearly she knows about these monsters. So is she just drunken, spoiled brat, or is she drinking because she's...
I mean, she's clearly going out at night to deal with these things, right? She's clearly running around the house aware of these things.
Sleepwalking. I don't like it. You don't know why she's outside.
Yeah.
But I guess
I wanted another layer to her character so that I wasn't
sure.
I felt like every line she said was basically the same thing every time she showed up.
Where?
Yeah, where's the booze? Why are you hiding my booze? I want my cigarettes. Where are my cigarettes?
It's basically like one of Tony's D&D characters.
There it was. So again, for Bill Quist's art, I will probably read this in a collected form down the line somewhere, unless I hear that it just takes a big crapper at some point. Like, but for her art, it's she, right? Bill Quist Evely is a woman, I think.
I believe so.
I just want to see more of her artwork, and when we get to see maybe this other realm and all these monsters and these things, I think it'll be something even more spectacular to look at. So I'm intrigued by the art style, but Tom King's got to up the story at some point here. The characters, especially.
It is a woman from Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Okay. So that's the only reason I'm planning to, at least at some point down the road, reconnect to this story. But I don't know what it's planned for 6-issue, 12-issue, whatever. I don't know what the ongoing. I don't know what the plan is.
I'm not sure either.
Okay.
Does it say in the indicia?
Tony's like, really? I know I'm a one-dimensional D&D player, but I'm trying. Didn't say. I mean, so I don't know.
You made back-to-back characters whose main motivation is to get drunk. I'm just saying.
You know, write what you know.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen. So yeah, those are the two books that we intended on speaking about.
Yes.
Exactly. I got a couple other things that I wanted to mention quickly, but you can start if you'd like, if you have anything else you want to talk about.
I mean, I posted on my Instagram that I've read officially the best book of 2024 already. I've made my pick. I'm willing to say there's not likely to be something that bests Traveling to Mars by Mark Russell. It's amazing. This book is, I knew it was really, really good when I read the first 7 or whatever issues that came out last year, but they finished at 11. The 11th issue published last week. I think it came out. I've been reading it digitally, so I just sort of wait till I see a new one and then I read it. But I cannot recommend it enough. It's easily the best thing he's done. I've enjoyed Second Coming a lot. He's done 3 volumes of that. Very entertaining. She was. Yeah, she was. If you've never read Mark Russell, I highly recommend this. The trade paperback is due to land at the end of July because it's a Blaze. Yeah, it's a Blaze, and so I guess they take a while to get the trade out for these things, even though it seems like it's something they could do a little quicker than July. I think Amazon said it would ship early August for people who pre-ordered.
Yeah, I don't know much about the publishing world, but I wonder, because they're a smaller publisher, if they need to rely more on pre-orders to figure out what their printing amounts are.
So when the FOC comes around, I'm going to make an effort to either post a whole bunch about it or see if I can interview Mark about it just to get people to buy it, because it's something I need people to read. I'm going to plan on buying a bunch and giving them away between now and December just to make sure people read the daylights out of this book. The topic is, for those that don't know, for Traveling to Mars. It's a slight distance into the future. The world is incredibly commercialized, as much as it is, to the extreme. Resources running out, people struggling, and we've got this guy whose life hasn't really turned out the way he wanted. He's kind of scumbag-esque. He's just, he wanted to be a musician, wanted to do all these things with his life, never really amounted to anything. He's single again. The love of his life is no longer with him, and he finds out he's dying. He's got cancer. And immediately after finding this out, in a sort of Joe versus the volcano kind of way, he gets this opportunity from this corporation that says, we need somebody that's willing to give their life to our cause. And our cause is this: we have a rover on Mars, and the rover has discovered an incredibly valuable resource in abundance. And the law states, ownership is 9/10 of the law. If you stake a claim to Mars, you get the resource. So what we're going to do is do a suicide mission to Mars, strap some guy to a rocket, launch him all the way to Mars. All you got to do is plant the flag and then die. And we will, take care of your ancestors. Anybody here on Earth, will take care of them. Will you do this for us? And he says yes. And they fire him into space in this suicide mission, knowing that there's not enough fuel to return, not enough food or oxygen or whatever to get him back. He gets to ride there in style, think back over his life, his relationships, everything that went wrong. And he's got 2 robots that are his companions for the flight out. And each issue is him reflecting on his life. It's spectacular. It's wonderfully funny, dark, tragic, looking at humanity and commercialism and the state of the world and the state of relationships between men and women and people and governments and companies. And there's a lot of twists and turns. I'm giving you a very basic idea. It was 11 issues long, so there's lots to the story, but it's really just this, like you said, great use of like first person narration. He narrates his own story, and he's just like, he's brutally honest about what happened, where his life went wrong and the choices he's made, and great twists and turns. And it's just, it ended beautifully. So great book.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning it. I don't remember if it was on our year-end roundup show or not, but I definitely remember you towards the end of the year talking about how much you've been enjoying it. So yeah, but at that point I was too far behind the game to track down all the issues, so I figured.
And I was pretty far behind, so I've been reading it digitally. I had not been hunting it. Like I by the time I got back to it, I was like, oh, and my LCS was all out, so I was like, I'm not going to worry about it. I think I got an issue 1, which they had a first print of issue 1 still, and that was it. And the rest I read digitally. The artwork isn't like mind blowing, but it's really good. It's like it's not Bilquis Ivley like her style. It's very fitting to their story, but it's a little simpler, more somewhere closer to 8 Billion Genies maybe in the cartoony kind of style. But yeah, it was just superb,
Nice. Well, I look forward to reading it once that trade comes out. Couple quick hits that I read for this week. or from this past month. One is Man's Best, which was basically like a less interesting We Three in space.
Okay.
With like a weird twist that it's about these 3 pets that are belong to this doctor who's on this spaceship when they're on this mission to find this new planet to terraform, but the planet seems to have disappeared, or their sensors at least are showing that it's disappeared. Meanwhile, she's kind of training them in this hollow chamber to fight robots for some reason. It was fine. Can't really recommend it. Can't really dump on it. It was just fine. And then I also read Ron V's new book, Dawn Runner.
Okay.
Which is up until the last page, basically just Attack on Titan or Pacific Rim is just a kaiju book with giant aliens. And they had to build giant mechs to fight the giant aliens, but has an interesting twist at the end that leaves you kind of wondering exactly what the twist is, but at the same time making enough of a different kind of direction than just the traditional mech versus big alien bad guy thing.
Sure. Okay.
So pretty fun. Definitely liked it. I mean, it's no Layla Starr, but I liked it more than some Ron V's other things that have come out since the Layla Starr. So,
gotcha.
Might be worth checking out for someone who likes that sort of stuff.
And then I'm keeping up on the Energon universe. I'm doing well with that. I'm currently now I'm also keeping up on the Geiger universe. I know that just launched it here in April, so I'll talk about those the Geiger stuff we can do at the end of this coming month. But I think I need to read. No, I think actually now I'm up. I think I had missed the Geiger 80-page special that they did about a year ago, but I feel like that's unnecessary. But
well, I don't know story-wise because I've not read any of it, but it is a spec book now because it's the first appearance of Redcoat. So, good luck.
Which for me is the worst of those books. It's like a bad ripoff of Jack of Fables, and that book sucks. That's how bad it is.
Redcoat was the book that made me not interested in the Ghost Machine because I saw that and I said, "This looks so tacky."
It really is tacky. I recommend trying Rook. I think Rook is actually
the best of these new ones. For Junkyard Joe is really good, but that's technically pre-Ghost Machine.
Correct. That is the best. That's the only one that would ever make my list of the best books of a year, and it did last year.
Mm-hmm.
The rest I enjoyed. Geiger I enjoyed. Sorry. And Rook I liked a little more than that. But Redcoat I thought was just trashy. It was not good.
Yeah.
It was. But I dislike Jack of Fables, but I like Jack of Fables more than this.
I will say, however, that like for the amount of weight and hype put into this whole thing, I haven't heard more than it was pretty good out of any of them.
Now, I will say I've kind of had the opposite. There's a whole corner of our community that is obsessed, that are just like freaking out about this. And what I said to them, even when I was saying like I don't necessarily love these books, but I'm entertained enough, is that I don't want to crap on them too hard because I love seeing people hyped on stories they're reading. And if you love these books, like awesome.
Yeah,
like, I just love them.
I just think they're not what I look for, at least how they're presented in, without reading them, how they're presented in advertisements and stuff. It's not what I'm looking for in the comics I want to read.
Truly.
I understand that they certainly are for other people, and if they're done well, that's great.
Right.
And if it turns out that people are saying that they're awesome, we have literally hundreds of the Ghost Machine preview book, so I assume we'll have hundreds of all of the issue number ones, and I'll read them if I want to.
Yeah, as far as a spec machine, I love, of course, that it's spec on something that's not related to TV and movies. It's awesome that it's just comic nerds and comic fans reading comic books. Like I love all of that side of this. It's very Kirkman-esque when Robert Kirkman just hoses the spec market by doing something stupid and funny, and I just love it. Like there's no spec value. There's just like him doing his thing, and people are just into whatever he's doing, and that's fine. And it's the same here. I just don't think these books are a phenomenon. They are interesting. Geiger as a concept is entertaining, but it's bland. Like it's not like, life mind altering, changing. Right. It's not. I'm not super excited about it. I'm not buying these issues. I'm reading all of them digitally, so I'm not even grabbing these books. However, I will say again, Junkyard Joe is totally different, and head and shoulders. It's like A category, and all of these are B category at best. And then Rook is maybe D category for me. I'm sorry, Redcoat. I mean, Redcoat might be D category. It's just really not very good.
Speaking of spec, I wanted to bring this up really quickly because I think this is one of those moments where I am just completely perplexed by the spec market and just am just wondering, does anything matter anymore? Because
and nothing else matters.
Yeah, exactly. So a while back, there were these rumors about a female Silver Surfer appearing in the movies, right?
Yeah.
And then those 2 Hercules books started going up in value because there's that Jade, or I forgot what her name is.
I can't even remember what they're called.
Some character in that who becomes a Silver Surfer. Well, earlier or last week, I guess, it was announced that there was a casting announcement for this Silver Surfer, who is not that Silver Surfer, but one that appears in Earth X, which is fine. And that book started going up. So far, so good. Except for the fact that the Hercules books went up in value again after this announcement that specifically said it is not that Silver Surfer.
Right.
So, what?
Yeah. I think you have to take spec at any point in history with an element of idiocracy. There's misinformation and people being dim enough not to understand what they're hearing. Communication idiocy, right? That stuff is always there. Ooh, female Silver Surfer's hot. I'm going to search female Silver Surfers and just buy books and not think it through.
Right.
And I think that's always going to be a factor in it. It is, a fool in their money, right?
I guess so, but boy, howdy. That was a real eye roller for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, that's all I got this week. How about you? Anything else you want to talk about?
No, that was pretty much it. I mean, I'm trying to keep up on all those other series just because I like being part of the conversation. So I know that, when people are talking about the Geigerverse or the Energon universe, I like being able to at least say, oh, that was good, or I didn't like that, or I didn't read that, whatever. I like being able to just engage in it.
Yeah, but you also have still a fairly active YouTube channel.
Well, and I also just like to be in the conversation a little bit. And I will say, I don't love any of these books. There are some that I enjoy. Every once in a while, I'll read an issue and be like, ooh, that was very like the last Daniel Warren Johnson Transformers issue was his best one. I thought that was really well done. But none of them I'm just like, oh, this is so freaking good. I can't wait for the next one. I'm just like, all right. Well, and then when I realize, oh, there's a new Cobra Commander this week. Oh, okay. I'll read that one. That's kind of where I'm at with them. Everybody said I'd like Void Rivals the most. I don't. It's not. It's not it. I think I still like Duke the most, although the
Yeah.
newest Cobra Commander was very entertaining and it got graphically horror. They basically spent the entire issue torturing Cobra Commander, and it was amazing. Dude did not break. It was phenomenal. The dreadnoughts were torturing him, and they chainsawed his mask, and I was like, "This is ballsy. It's crazy."
I have not read the new one yet, but I know
he basically sits silently in a chair for the entire issue. It's so.
I think I said this when we first talked about the first issue, is that I'm glad they're not making him this like wimpy, sniveling character that he is in the cartoons. That he's actually.
You can still hear that voice when he talks.
Oh,
I read that voice.
But I don't know if he has shown up yet because I didn't read the newest one. But the next issue has Nemesis Enforcer on one of the covers. So
no, I don't remember seeing him. I mean, you have Globulus. Is that what his name?
He's in the first issue.
He's been showing up, but that's about it.
So I mean, since Globulus was in it and the Cobra Law were in it, I was like, well, it's only a matter of time.
Right.
But yeah, he's on one of the variant covers, so hopefully that means he's coming soon because he's a pretty badass character.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see like where it ends up going, but so far I'm not invested the same way I am in a lot of other books we talked about. Obviously, Traveling to Mars is highest on the list for me now.
Very cool.
Yes, sir.
Anything you wanna plug before we go?
I don't think so. I don't have anything big coming up. I've been trying to drop my YouTube shorts and stuff whenever there's a new X-Men episode, and this one this week was phenomenal. I'm willing to say this one 30-minute episode is the best X-related product ever produced outside of the comics. It is it.
Wow.
Throw out Logan, throw out any of the X-Men movies, throw out the old animated series, throw out any of it. All you need is this one 30-minute. That's the best. We have reached the tip of Mount Everest right here.
Well, I mean,
it's
old animated series was not good.
It's not great. Yeah, this I couldn't believe how much they packed in, how much emotion they drained out of me. Both like soap opera-y, will they, won't they drama, comedy emotion, whether it's tears, get your palms sweaty, action, excitement. Like they just in 30 minutes, it was wild. The roller coaster of emotions I went through, and it was so well executed.
Very cool. D&D should be back this Sunday on this very channel with John's Comics with Kids and previously referenced Drunken Tony's character.
Yeah, he just went live a second ago. He sent me the link, so I think I'll be over there in a little bit, I'm sure.
All right, well, I'll wrap this up so we can get over that. I have to go to bed because I got work tomorrow.
Because it's 11 o'clock already.
It is 11:07, yeah. But I mean, Old Wolf is also in the same time zone as me, so I don't know what the hell he's doing, going live at 11 o'clock at night. But
who knows?
Anyway, thanks everyone for hanging out who was here in the chat. Thank you, John, as always, for putting up with my shenanigans. And we will see you next time on John's channel in a couple weeks for the April roundup.
Geigerverse.
I got a lot of reading to do then. In the meantime, never turn your back on the ocean. Okay, bye.